Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Jorge's Isolation Podcast. I hope everybody is doing well and everybody is alive. A lot has been going on in 2021. In December 31st, 2020, we thought that everything was going to change from 12:59 or 11:59 to 12 a.m. And it didn't. Guess what? Life continues. So the craziness continues. But in all this craziness, we have a lot of cool stuff happening and a lot of beautiful things that were birthed from all the chaotic stuff happening in the world. And one of those is the Mooky show. And today's guest is my buddy, my boy, Moo Jae of the Mooky show. And I'm glad you're here today, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing even better because I get to spend time with you and I'm excited. Most importantly, I'm honored. Thank you for having me and thank you for your time cuz that's something you can't purchase. You can't
No,
get more of. So, thank you for that.
dude, it's great to have a fellow Texan. You know what? I was thinking about being fellow Texans. Like when you were in New York, uh, do people automatically have this assumption about Texas and then they realize you're from Texas?
Not so much. Not I don't want to say I don't want to say I people assume anything really.
Yeah. Really? Because I had that a lot. It's like, oh, you're from mainly when I first moved up. So, like in 2011, 2012, when I first moved up, people were like, oh, you're from Texas, a Republican. And they start throwing in politics. And I was like, I mean, we're not going to throw in politics, but there's more than just people wearing cowboy hats and riding on horses. You know,
Right.
you got an Asian over here and a Mexican over here. So,
That's
it's like,
it's awesome.
it's one of the most diverse places on earth and people don't realize that, and it's good to see that. And you are from the Dallas area, DFW.
Right. So the reason why I say the Dallas area is just
Hmm.
easier for me to say that. I did
Yep.
college there and I stayed there post college. I went to University of North Texas.
Oh,
So
UNT.
I didn't yep. And then I got a lot of stories to tell you. But anyways, it's easier for me to say Dallas rather
Yeah.
than Killeen Fort Hood.
Yeah.
So you know where that's at, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. So it's an hour outside of Austin. So if I
Hmm.
say, "Oh, I'm from Killeen," they kind of just look at me with this blank stare, and then I have to basically map it out. Okay, Austin's here, Killeen's here, Waco's here, Dallas, and then they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, Dallas." So
Yeah.
Dallas is more of the city that everyone knows about.
Yeah. The I think Texas is one of those, it's becoming more and more like kind of like an LA or New York where surrounding areas are basically that city. So if you're from like the Dallas area, it could be, like was it Duncanville or UNT, or if you're from Austin, it could be Round Rock and Katy and Buda and all those areas. Like where I'm from, we're just the Rio Grande Valley, so we lump the whole South for the southernmost counties into one area. It's the Rio Grande Valley. So I get it, man.
Right.
It's a growing area. We're getting a lot of people coming in from out of state.
So what city are you currently in?
I'm in McAllen.
See, I
McAllen.
honestly don't know where that's at.
So where Donald Trump was this week. So that was in
Oh,
Alamo, Texas. So that was about 20 minutes away from me
okay.
on the border.
Man, Texas has a lot of just small, no name
Yeah, dude.
country spots. So
Yeah,
it's growing. It's
it is.
booming. And
It,
and Joe Rogan just moved to Austin.
Austin. Yeah, I think he wanted to get closer to his competition, meaning me. And because he knew I came down here a year ago, and he's like, you know what? If I want to stay sharp, I might as well just go where the competition is. But he's kept a safe distance away, so he's 5 hours away from me, just because he knows he can't be too close.
Mm.
Because if you get too close to fire, you're gonna burn. So,
So what made you move back?
we have some issues, some family health issues. My mother-in-law was dealing with some memory issues, some early Alzheimer's issues, and we started noticing this for a little while. for a few years, and it just started getting a little bit more and more, I guess, unpredictable. And so we wanted to be closer to her, just to keep an eye on it, just to see how she's doing. I mean, she's got a husband who takes care of her and stuff, but my wife is the only child, so she wants to be closer. And then uh, New York, having a child is hard as it is. We had the one, and you know, by the time we know it, it was gonna be, that time for school, and seeing what kind of schools we can get her into, and the opportunities we wanted for her, we just couldn't afford. Like, we really couldn't afford it. And we're doing pretty good. It's just a lot of that money was just going to rent, to transportation, and so that was another issue. So we moved down here, and then the biggest blessing was, the internet and my career as an actor, where I can audition from anywhere, anywhere. There was still that fear that I was never going to work again, and I still have that fear all the time, just because it's so unpredictable. I get that fear the moment they say, "Oh, Jorge's wrapped for the day." Whenever I shoot something, I wonder the next time I'm going to work is. But with self taping, I can just audition anywhere. My agents and manager can send me a breakdown, and so there's a good bunch of factors, and our gamble paid off, because we got ourselves a good, beautiful house, and we're paying like 1,000, 1,500 less than we did in rent in New York, and we're getting like 3 times the square footage in a nice, beautiful neighborhood. And there's a park right around the corner, and we really lucked out. And the pandemic hit, and so we have more room. We're not, on top of each other. We're not strangling each other. Like Rosa had to work from home, and there was no way it would have been easy for her to work from home, because in the apartment we had in Jersey City, we couldn't receive phone calls, in our apartment. And so her whole workday is making phone calls and being on the internet. And so, we lucked out. So we have that space, and it was the right decision. But I still miss New York. Like, lately, I've been missing New York. We saw the movie Soul, and
Oh, don't
and
get me started,
and that
man.
movie, it has its issue. It has like the elements that everyone was feeling, of making that the most of your time on Earth. But for me, what really got me was when they said we're on 14th and 7th, and I'm like, that is a block away from Equinox that I spent almost every single day for 5 years, 6 years going through. And I started getting really homesick for New York, because that became home. And that really, uh oh man, like, I've been thinking about New York since.
That movie is incredible.
It's
And
beautiful.
I'll ask, hey, have you seen the movie Soul?
Hmm.
And you typically, if they say, yeah, you get the same response. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it was breathtaking. It was just I resonated with it so much. And truthfully, for me, I feel like 22
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just trying to figure out everything, because New York is a beast. It
Yeah.
is an absolute animal.
Yeah.
And all the time, up until I want to say the last 3 weeks,
Yeah.
I would always say, do I need to go back? Do
Yeah.
I, is this it for me?
Yeah.
No, 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 I can't quit.
Yeah.
Um, do I need to go get a house down there? Do I need to get married down there? Do I need
Yeah.
to start a family down there?
Yeah.
Because you're living two different lives.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have Texas Jorge, then you
Yeah.
got New York Jorge.
Yeah.
But for you now, you're married with a beautiful child, and you have to make sacrifices, and you can't be selfish.
Yeah.
Although you would love to be back in New York,
Yeah.
you know that's not the best for this time.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's how you felt. And
Well,
and look at what you got out of this.
yeah. Yeah. And when I think I always had that in mind, is that the family was going to grow beyond me and Rosa. We were going to have
Mm.
kids, and there was always going to be much more that we wanted. And before graduating grad school, I I had read this story about it was Dean Koontz, the writer, and I think it was Ang Lee as well, that their wives said, "Here's 5 years to pursue what you're pursuing." Like Dean Koontz, like his wife said, "Write, and if you don't get published, if you don't get any kind of success or anything like that, then at least you know you gave it 5 years, you gave it a shot, you did everything you could, and then you can live life knowing, but you have to go and get the big boy job now." Same thing with Ang Lee. And within those 5 years, I mean, Ang Lee has directed, Brokeback Mountain. He's directed Gemini Man. He's directed so many movies. And Dean Koontz is just like, when you ask about horror authors, he's right up there with Stephen King, almost as prolific as Stephen King. And I got that in my mind. I told Rosa, I was like, from the day I graduate, which was like May 22nd, 23rd, because it was 2 days of graduation ceremonies. I said, from those days of 2014, just give me 5 years to try this out. Because I didn't even have an agent. I didn't have a manager. I didn't even know if I was going to get an audition. I was hoping that by the end of the 5 years, I had at least auditioned for something. And I don't know, maybe did some sort of like little play or something. Luckily, I mean, 2 weeks after that, I booked my first commercial with AT&T and the Yankees. And then things just kind of snowballed. And, we moved almost 6 years after that deal, 6 years. And if I never work again, I will be very sad, but I can always look back and say, well, at least I did it. Where other people, aren't as fortunate, I have been very fortunate. And if, my time in front of a camera is done, then, and this is my time now. I'm talking to amazing people, and I can be happy. You know what I mean? I can be as happy as I can, but I know that there's always going to be that hunger to do more. But you're right. There's New York Jorge, and there's South Texas Jorge, and the South Texas Jorge and who I'm around, my family, my wife, we're expecting a little boy in June.
Oh,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You can
Thank
name
you.
him Mooky.
I'm gonna run that by Rosa then after this.
Definitely. She might
Yeah.
like it. But
Yeah.
that's why I have so much respect for people like you. Is the reason is because you're taking a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
And you did it for 6 years.
Yeah.
And to have that confidence and self-esteem, it might have not been there in the middle or the beginning, or maybe even now, but you have these moments of, man, I just did a commercial. Man, I just landed a gig here. And those are the moments that you live for. Those are the moments that made you genuinely happy inside. And so for me, I'm still searching for that, because maybe you thought that I'll make a career out of this, but also on the other spectrum, it's maybe this is the worst decision of my life.
Yeah, there's been oftentimes where I thought that. Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I started the Mooky show, is because I've been here for what, 5 years?
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm just trying to make it as a trainer. I'm just trying to make it in New York.
Yeah.
And the first 2 years were brutal, but I got so many good things out of it. I'm so wealthy, not in currency or money, but I'm so wealthy with the friends that develop into family.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to you in what, maybe a year plus.
Yeah.
But it's just so chill. I feel comfortable. I feel welcome. I feel honored. It's a blessing that I know that if I needed a place to stay in Texas, I happen to be in your area, I can call Jorge. Without a second guess.
And we got the space now.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's just so hard to get out of your comfort zone, because you're always thinking about what other people think about you as far as opinions.
Yeah.
So I actually wanted to do this show for 3 years, believe it or not.
Yeah.
three
Okay.
years. But it's always been, oh, you're not funny. Oh, you don't have a team behind you. Oh, you don't have a camera crew. Oh, you're gonna be like somebody else. And these are the thoughts that are going into my mind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so there was a turning point last month, and I was going through a host of things, but I was in the car with Baker, and
Yeah.
I said, hey man, I'm gonna start this show, and I'm gonna call it the Mooky Show. And I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that. And he looked at me, he's like, go ahead. But I think in that moment, if he would have said, that's a stupid idea, or if he said, oh, why would you even do that?
Yeah.
I would have never did it.
Yeah.
And he just gave me this gentle push, and the ball just rolled from there.
Yeah. Well, Michael Baker's we're talking about our friend, our friend Michael Baker, who's I look up to Michael Baker so much just because he's so smart. And I've had on this podcast, you know, I had Carrie on here, I've had Jared on here, and I've had you. And these are all like trainers in Viet and like that I've met at Equinox. This is a gym. And the myth about gym trainers in particular is that everyone's a meathead. Everyone's talking about gains and you know what, bro, I gotta reach my anabolic window. I gotta take my shake right within 30 minutes post workout. And you know, there's just like all this meathead stuff that they you know, you expect of trainers, or just, you know, they're just trying to bang every girl in the gym, or you know, whatever it is. And in the reality of Equinox trainers is everybody is so freaking smart and everyone has their own side hustles. Like Jared is a historian. Jared's professional boxer. Michael Baker is an investment guy who's also selling real estate on the side and also, you know, giving financial, very, very good financial advice. And all like everybody is bettering themselves, and you are doing the same thing. You're pursuing something more. And that's one of the most beautiful things that I loved about Equinox. It was that the environment there was not a competition, but it was almost encouraging or motivating for everyone there to just do something much more because everybody was doing something more to better themselves. And I think that's what helped me out in my career was that I saw everybody, they might not have been acting or like doing what I was doing per se, but in terms of like not in terms of feeling like I don't want to feel like a loser, so I need to do something more with my life. Like I see everybody doing that, like, you know, like there was like what John Campbell was also selling real estate, and then was it Greg, who was an ex a Wall Street guy. Like all these people, you know, are very inspiring. And I get what you're saying about the fear of doing something and starting something like a YouTube channel and a show with no crew and nothing. It's hard. It's scary. Definitely. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, because I'm known as a trainer.
Yeah.
I'm known as somebody to eat healthy. I'm known as someone to only lift weights. But that doesn't show your personality. That doesn't show your heart.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't show any of those good things.
Yeah.
So I was like, what can I do to make myself happy? I'm on this journey with myself to do self-care,
Yeah.
self-date, self-love, because these are the things that I've never tried or I
Mm-hmm.
never really understood. And
Mm-hmm.
you're from a Hispanic background. I'm
Yeah.
from an Asian background.
Yeah.
And typically for immigrant families, it's Jorge, we had this long journey. You got to get a good job. Moo,
Yeah.
make sure you turn out to be a doctor, a lawyer, something. Make us proud. And
Yeah.
so when you tell your family, I want to become an actor, it's almost like this
Yeah.
headache.
Yeah.
And my mom didn't really understand me being a trainer in the most loving way possible.
Mm-hmm.
And never in a million years did I even think I would become a trainer.
Yeah.
But as your life unfolds, you make these executive decisions, whether they're right or wrong.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just following my heart
Yeah.
and what I love. And what I
Yep.
love was helping people. And this was my way to help people. And I became passionate with helping people. So
Yeah.
then that allowed me to be a better trainer because you can always get that knowledge. Like you
Hmm.
said, Michael Baker had the information, and I would nitpick his mind. Tamar Fareed, he
Tamara is
kind of
smart too. Yeah.
man, and he kind of took me under his wing, and because I saw the difference
Yeah.
in being a trainer and then becoming a successful trainer,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So you got to have this awesome balance to be able to provide all the things that your client might need, whether it's mental or physical.
Hmm.
And going back to what you were saying about feeling like you have to do more because everyone else is doing more.
Hmm.
And that's how I feel on a daily basis
Yeah.
because so much is going around you in New York City, the competition, and everyone's, even if they're happy or
Hmm.
sad,
Hmm.
everyone's showing off something regardless of what
Yeah.
they're going through on their own time or in their own home
Yeah.
because they want to feel the validation or they want to feel like they're keeping up with the times.
Yeah.
And that's what gets dangerous almost.
Yeah. I have to say that one of the things that we talk about, Rosa and I, when that we don't miss about New York is that, say we go out after she gets out of work, right? We can go to a bar because I'm a sucker for like bar food, like wings, burgers, whatever. And no matter where you're at after on Friday night, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, wherever you're at, people are talking nonstop shop, talking about deals, talking about this, talking about that, all about work, 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 deals, deals, deals. And it's just a nonstop. It's almost toxic to where you can't even like unplug. And moving back down here was funny because no one really talks about that. At work, they Sunday, they get ready for Monday morning till Friday afternoon. They work, but then, yeah, we don't think about, during the week. We don't think about work during the weekend. It's a barbecue on Friday night or
I was just
Saturday.
about to
Just
say that.
barbecues. And it's like, it's just one of those things. Like you get it. Your cultures or our cultures are very similar, like families and gatherings and like, you know, but down here, it's like I don't miss that kind of shop talk. You know what I mean? Like all 100% of the time. You know?
It's really aggressive.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel like you have to walk faster, run faster,
Yeah.
make your schedule jam packed because most of the time
Yeah.
I say, how are you doing? They're like, I
Hmm.
got to do this. I got to get this. Then 4 o'clock. But really, I really want to know how the person is doing. It's
Yeah.
too much of look at me. My schedule is booming. I want to dial it back. How
Yeah.
are you, Jorge?
Yeah.
I'm good. My family's blessed. Though I'd rather have those wholesome conversations rather than making me feel like,
Yeah.
man, my schedule needs to be a little bit more busier,
Yeah.
or I need to go find something to do because this guy is just running all over the place.
Yeah. I think what I have to go back and kind of say too, where I felt like I needed to be doing something, is I needed to be creating something on my own terms where, exactly what you're saying is a lot of people are doing so much. A lot of people are working 60, 70-hour weeks. And, at Equinox, we knew there's a lot of finance people. And a lot of those finance people, either I remember there was a girl who worked with us for like a short while, and she had done finance for 10 years. 10 years, and she decided, you know what, I want to be a photographer. So she bought a camera and was learning while she worked the front desk, but she didn't want to lose her membership. And she was so smart with money. This is my friend Tina. I think she was there right before you got there, and she's from Bulgaria. And she got her MBA. She went to Duke. Like, she's just super smart, it's from Bulgaria to US, working in finance on Wall Street. She bought her own apartment, but she wanted to be a photographer. So she had never done it before, and she was always interested. So she quit her job and wanted to keep her gym membership. So she got a job at Equinox, to
Wow.
work. And all these years later, I'll send you her Instagram. Her photography is booming. Now she's starting to appear in magazines, her photography, and doing all these beautiful model shoots. And she's traveling the world doing what she wants. And a lot of times in New York City, people get so wound up and they get swept into this mentality that you got to be doing something 100% of the time. You got to be busy, busy, busy. You got to be making millions of dollars and doing this, this, and this. And a lot of times they're not happy. There's a time where we were coming home one night and there was a guy sitting next to me on the train. And he just started chatting with me. He was drunk, obviously. So, that saying is like the truth comes with children and drunks, and he was telling me, he's like, hey, what do you do? And I was like, I'm an actor. He's like, oh, that's really cool. He's like, you like doing that? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you work a lot? And I was like, at the time, I was like getting a job here and there. And I said, sometimes, yeah, but I love it. It's what I love doing. He's like, that's good, man. Keep doing what you love. Cause like I work in finance and I make a lot of money. And I was like, whatever. And he's like, no, I'm not saying that to brag. Like I make a lot of money. Like I made 500 grand just past year. And I bought a $1.2 million condo. And he's like, I'm not saying that to brag, and it sounds braggy, I know, but this guy was just like letting this out. And he's like, I have all that stuff and all that money, and I'm not happy. I'm not happy
Wow.
one minute. Like I work for Goldman Sachs and I make all this money. And he's like, we screw people over on the daily basis. He's like, I can't live with myself. Like, I don't know if I want to do this much longer. The money's not worth it. And he was just so depressed. And that really stayed with me. I've always remembered that because it's exactly what you're saying about how why would you get sucked into a job just because of money? And so many people do that. You know what I mean? And it's not just money, but like how many hours do you put into that? And you know, time flies so fast. And by the time you know it, where did you spend your time, your years, your youth? And you're
It's
finding that.
mm-hmm, exactly. It's really hard to uplift people. It's really hard when they're doing something new. It's almost a reflex to scoff. When I
Yeah.
first got to New York
Yeah.
and people are like, oh, Jorge does this, he acts, Viet does this, he acts. And in my mind, because I haven't been into a big city,
Hmm.
I was a simpleton, you know? I was like, I never seen them on TV. What do you mean they act?
Yeah.
Why
I
are they
get it.
working at Equinox?
Yeah.
That was my mindset
Hmm.
as a young individual that hasn't been around people that really go for their dreams or go for something they love. Because
Hmm.
I can't tell you something that I would just really fall in love for or really just brag about in a sense of my passion.
Yeah.
Now it's training, now it's helping people, right?
Yeah.
But that's what fueled me to do my show. And
Yeah.
yes, I have what 200 followers, 20 subscribers on YouTube. But the thing is, if you don't create something
Yeah.
from your thought and your bare hands, then you will never realize how hard it is for
Yeah.
someone to succeed in a world of creativity.
Yeah.
So when I seen your podcast, I was like, this is amazing
Hmm.
because I understand you as a creator now. I
Hmm.
understand the time that you put in to edit these videos now. And
Hmm.
for me, I've been here for 5 years. I can probably count all of the times that I did something for myself, whether it's a restaurant, a museum, or just trying something new, maybe 8 times. Because
Hmm.
all I was doing was going to work, coming home, going to
Yeah.
work, coming home, because I thought that's
Yeah.
what life was.
Yeah.
So for me now, I want to show my friends back home New York. Like, I'm about to try this new pizza
Yeah.
spot. I'm gonna try this new vegan spot. I'm gonna try this new corn dog spot.
Yeah.
I'm going to try New York like I
Yeah.
am a tourist,
Yeah.
but then show my experience through the lens of my eyes.
I agree with you, man. Like, I think one of the biggest regrets, and I know there's a lot of people that said they'll go through life saying, like, I have no regrets in life. Like, honestly, like, I think that they're lying. But for me personally, like, there are things I do regret. And one of the things is exactly what you're saying. I didn't experience New York as much as I should have. And I learned that when I was watching yours. I saw your YouTube, your show, and trying all the food. And I saw a fitness YouTube where this kid, Will Tennyson, is going around in New York for a day. And there's like some of these spots, one spot like I knew of, but like the other spots, I'm like, I was in that neighborhood all the time. How come I didn't try that? And then like I'm watching some of the stuff that you're trying. I'm like, why didn't I try that? That looks delicious. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or and a lot of times people in these cities, this we take it for granted. We
100%. You know how many times I've been to Central Park and I lived literally 10 to 15 blocks above it. I've
wow.
been to Central Park 4, maybe 5 times, and I've been here for
Yeah.
5 years. So once a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was thinking, if I move next month, or if I move in 6 months, or whenever I do move, if I do move,
Hmm.
the first thing I'm gonna look back on is how many memories did I make for myself? Because
Yeah.
anytime someone's like, Moo, let's go eat here.
Yeah.
Great, let's go eat.
Yeah.
But for myself, I didn't respect or love myself enough to be like, bro,
Yeah.
go take yourself.
Yeah.
You seen that restaurant walking around. Why don't you go try it instead of just reading the name? And you
Yeah.
know how many restaurants we pass by just walking to work or walking
Yeah.
to the park, whatever it may be. All these new
Yeah.
pop-up shops, and it's like, oh, it's cool, it's cool. But I've changed that mindset into, oh, it's cool, go try it,
Yes. Yeah.
experience it, take that, embrace this moment of you being in New York. Because anytime I see, just like you,
Hmm.
I see something on YouTube, it's very simple,
Yeah.
like this new coffee. It makes me want to go try it.
Yeah. And see, you're in New York and you can still at least go over there if it's in town. Like
That's
when
the
I saw
benefit of doing this.
I saw you, it's like you posted a video of you and Tapia, and I was like, all that food looked good. Why didn't I ever try that? Or even like just you were going around looking for hot wings or buffalo wings. Like, and it's just like I was there that whole time. And it's really good that you're doing that and you're experiencing that. And to rewind a little bit, like how did you end up in New York? Like why New York over LA or Chicago or even Dallas? If you're in UNT, so you got your passion for for training, personal training and physical
So
fitness.
it's I'll make this long story and I'll compress it. So at that time, for me personally,
Yeah.
I felt like my life was worthless. I
Hmm.
was bouncing around jobs. I was miserable. I was a super negative guy because I wasn't happy.
Hmm.
I really wasn't happy with my life. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. I wasn't happy with how much money I was making. I wasn't happy with how I was spending my time.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was like, I need a drastic change. And I was going through depression. So how I got to New York was my brother made himself successful out here through photography. So he took a big
Mm.
gamble. And then
Okay.
that inspired me. I was like, I want to take a big gamble. I want to make this jump. And so I just kept asking, hey, I'm going through these things. I want to change my life. And he
Hmm.
he thought about it because he's married. So when you're married, you kind of have to take all of that into consideration
Yeah.
and make the best judgment call. So I was blessed by them saying yes. So when I came out here, he said, you can work for me. But granted, at that time, I was excited because it was something new, but
Mhm.
I was still number 22 from the movie Soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was the guy trying to show me around to find that little badge that I'm missing in my heart.
Yeah.
Right. So he was saying, work for me, do this photography thing. But I kept going to the gym 3 to 5 hours a day.
Mhm.
Even if I wasn't working out, I would play basketball for 3 hours. I'll work out for 1 hour, and then I'll lay on the mat for an hour at all these odd times of the day.
Mhm.
And my brother said, you really need to think about what you're doing, because if you're allocating all of your time into this, then maybe you need to pursue a fitness career and become a trainer.
Yeah.
I was upset
Yeah.
because I'm like, do they even make money? How am I
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
successful in New York doing that? I came here to do photography, but one, I really wasn't that good at it. Number two, my passion and my heart wasn't there. So, I took the NASM cert, and while I was taking that, I was still going to the gym for copious amounts of hours. And I met this guy, Carlos Torres. We're playing basketball. We never exchanged phone numbers. We've never exchanged names until one day I said, hey, bro, you're here every time I'm here. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking maybe he's really well off or he doesn't have a job.
Yeah.
And when you're becoming a personal trainer, you can set your schedule to a certain extent. And
Mhm.
so I asked him, what do you do for a living? He said, I'm a personal trainer. At that moment, my jaw dropped. I said, I'm trying to become one. And
Mhm.
he said, yeah, why don't you? You should do it. It's good money. You can make your own schedule. And I was like, I don't know the next steps. What are the next steps to do that? And he just started to drop some knowledge on me.
Yeah.
The next day I came back. I said, I got the NASM. Um, now what should I do? Should I just start applying to 24-hour fitness? Because that's where we were playing basketball. He's like, no, don't do that. That'll be a big mistake.
Yeah.
I know somebody at Equinox. And I said, what is an Equinox?
Yeah.
And he said, it's a super nice gym.
Yeah.
And that's the place you want to go.
Yeah.
So he kept his word and introduced me to Mr. Carter Berry.
Oh, Carter.
And that's when everything
World
just started to
level competitor,
unfold.
kettlebell.
Yes, kettlebell specialist,
Yeah.
amazing, phenomenal human being.
Yeah.
I got that interview, man, and I had so much anxiety because I felt like my journey was either going to start with this job or
Mhm.
it was going to end, and I can just feel it. They called me. I picked up. They said I have another round of interviews, and I cried
Yeah.
because I knew I needed this job. And
Yeah.
it wasn't really so much about chasing my dream. It was just another opportunity for me to stay here longer because I wanted to stay longer. When you
Yeah.
go to Times Square for your very first time,
Mhm.
you get all of this electricity and you look around
Yeah.
like, I need and want to
Yeah.
be here to become something bigger. And in
Yeah.
Texas, for me, just for me, I didn't feel that ever in my life. And I wanted
Yeah.
to keep chasing it. I wanted
Yeah.
to keep chasing it. The first 6 to 8 months of that job was hell.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
making about 400 to 600 a month.
Yeah. And just a little background for people watching or listening. And when you get hired as a trainer, um, it's really you can set up your schedule and everything, but you do have to work what they call floor shifts. So if you're at Equinox, you see trainers with black shirts and there's trainers with blue shirts. The trainers with the blue shirts on are kind of like not forced, but you have to meet a minimum of training sessions to get out of those blue shirts and kind of like, and they schedule you wherever they're open. Like it could be opening the gym, it could be closing the gym after working from 7 in the morning till 11. Like it's tough. It really is rigorous, and it really weeds out a lot of people who are serious about it, and you can tell who's going to make it. So continue. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's awesome. So when I started this job, it was the beginning of my first winter. And
Yeah.
that winter was an absolute blizzard. I'm talking about snowing every day. And I was still living with my brother at the time.
Mhm.
My commute was an hour and a half. I would have to walk about 20 minutes to the bus in the snow at 4 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
catch the bus all the way down. Then from there, I would have to catch the train.
Yeah.
So when it's snowing, you got all this traffic. But to be honest with you, for the first couple of weeks, none of that fazed me because I still had this adrenaline of getting a job, and
Yeah.
I felt proud of myself. When you
Yeah.
wear the gray t-shirt for
Yeah.
X amount of months, you hate that t-shirt. But for
Yeah.
the first couple of weeks that you're hired, you want to pose in it. You almost felt like a model. You felt
Yeah.
just the best feeling about yourself because you have
Yeah.
this title across your chest that says trainer.
It's also the shirts that trainers had were much different than the front desk people had. Like we had those like regular shitty shirts. You had like the dry fit shirts, like the nice shirts, and it said
So,
train and not greet, like what mine said.
so things started to change, and I was figuring out how I can move into the city because I no longer wanted to be in Jersey,
Yeah.
and I wasn't making any money. I really
Yeah.
was not making any money, but I wanted to experience the New York City life. I didn't want to experience the Jersey life. It's pretty much like Dallas.
Yeah.
So one of my first friends was Erica Wilson and Justin Starr.
Oh
I
yeah.
got cool with Justin Starr and I told him about my story. And then I knew that living in the city was not cheap, but he was also going through the same situation of just trying to make it in the city, become a trainer. So we bonded instantly. And one day he said, "You can stay with me." And I was like, "What do you mean I can stay with you?" He said, "Just pay me $300 a month and you can stay with me." And he had a little studio. It was in Washington Heights, small. I'm talking about 250 square feet.
Yeah.
And he was helping me out. But the reason why he helped me out is because I ended up sleeping in the Equinox basement for a month and a half
Yeah.
because I didn't want to be late. I was doing my dishes there. I was doing my laundry there. Nobody knew, but I had to do these things to
Yeah.
really make it. And I was desperate. I didn't want to lose this job. I really wanted to become a trainer at that point. Then Justin Starr helped me out, and I stayed with him for about 2 or 3 months. And things just started to get a little bit better and better. So
Yeah.
on the fourth or fifth month, Ian Sample, he said,
My boy,
"Hey, I'm looking." He said,
fellow
"Hey."
Texan. He was
Yep.
born in
He said,
Arlington.
"I'm looking for a roommate." And I was like, "Cool. I'm making about, you know, $600 a paycheck now.
Yeah.
So I'm making a little bit more." And I asked him what the rent was. He said $1,200. I said, "There's no way. I just can't afford that."
Yeah.
For whatever reason, he just kept being supportive and positive. He's like, "Don't worry. In a month or two, you'll afford it. I promise you." I was like, "You're talking nonsense, man. You are absolutely talking nonsense."
Yeah.
And he would
This
ask
place was
me
close to the
every
gym too.
yes. So it was a great experience. He would ask me, "Hey, you ready to move in?" I said, "No, there's no way." A month passes, I come to him. I said, "You still got that spot?" And the first thing he says is, "I told you, come on, move in." So
Yeah.
that was the next spot. And this is why I say I'm wealthy with friends because they had no reason to give me a chance. They had
Yeah.
no reason to trust me.
Yeah.
And for that, those things propelled me to work harder and better because these random people wanted to help me out and they believed in me and they knew the path of this, if you give it your all, you can make an absolute career out of it, which a lot of people don't know.
Yeah. And like Ian Sample, I love Ian Sample. Like he's my boy. Like he's like we speak every few months or so, but like, he goes into his little hibernation mode where he kind of disappears for a little bit. But like that guy, just like you said, was probably one of the first people to ever take me serious with any kind of creative idea I ever had. And he rolled with it, never judged me, only encouraged it. And he's like that with everybody who he believes in. And that's how I am with him. Like that guy is kind. He's smart. He's hardworking, and I mean, we tried to produce a bunch of things together, and I have to say he was the organized one too. Like I am not
And
organized
he is
whatsoever.
great at organizing. He
Oh
he
my
loves to organize
god,
events,
everything.
family things, friend things. It's awesome. If you need
Yeah,
a wedding planner, um,
I'm
if you
telling
need
you.
a photo shoot, call
Yep.
him up. He'll make it happen from absolutely scratch.
If I'm ever in a position to where I have a TV show or a movie, he is definitely going to be a producer because he knows how to get things done and he knows how to keep things organized. And I know exactly what you're talking about with him, like encouraging you. I remember that whole time. And yeah, like Ian Sample is one of those, he's just one of those people. He's one of the good ones, that you run into on this earth, just like you are. Because throughout this whole time, hearing about that, like when I worked the front desk, I worked there for like 5.5 years. And I don't know how many blue shirts I would always say, like blue, like new trainers I would see. There's such a high turnover rate, but then the people that would stay. And so, we know that a lot of you struggle. It's just without a doubt, everyone struggles and it's hard, but sometimes we don't know the full story. I didn't know that you were in the basement. I believe it. You know what I mean? Like it's just that it's difficult. And to see that, knowing that, and then knowing you had the best kind of like personality, like optimistic, always since the day I met you. Moo, like in the cow. You'd always say that, like moo like cow, and always smiling, always very friendly. I mean, I remember Chewy told me when he met you too. Our friend Chewy, like he's like, yeah, Moo, he's one of the nicest guys I ever met. Like always optimistic, never saw you down or complaining about anything. You had there's times that I would I understood if someone wearing the blue shirt was complaining, because another thing, when they're wearing the blue shirts, the trainers have to wear the blue shirts. They're not on the clock like getting paid with a client. They're getting paid like $8 an hour while they're in New York City, $8 an hour. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, that's more than they deserve or whatever. It's like, no, it's not. You don't make a living for $8 an hour in New York City, and they have to pick up everybody's weights that don't pick up their weights or re-rack their weights. They have to clean, they have to pick up towels, they have to offer towels. It's almost like, these people know that these people are going to pick up weights for them, and they take advantage of these personal trainers because they know, like, oh, I know there's been times where people will have leg presses all plated up, just completely 45s everywhere, 45-pound plates everywhere, or they'll deadlift and leave the bar there, or squat and leave it just fully stacked with weights. And you know you're expected as the blue shirt to re-rack all these weights. And I remember, especially because I closed and I would have to help re-rack weights, like it's like a hurricane, like picking up after a daycare, because some kids just don't know how to put their toys away, and they rely on the teachers to do that. And they just, like, they're spoiled brats, and they are like kids. And I'll say that they're like kids because a lot of these people are just, they're just legit billionaires that worked out at Equinox. Billionaires, people that have very high influence on how we live our daily lives, whether they work at Google, whether they work or own certain businesses that I'm not going to name or whatever, and that have a very big influence on America's lives, American lives. But yet they will not, re-rack weights because they still see people with the shirt that says either train or greet as the help. and it's a demeaning job sometimes. So, to see that you had that very positive outlook every single time while working that shift, like once you have your black shirt on all the time, you're good. It's better because you
Right,
can,
right.
you work with your clients, and like you can say, I want to work with you, or I don't want to work with this client. You know what I mean? It's a much better world. But man, if you're doing both and you're trying to like get your minimums, then oh, God bless you.
I want to
Like
tell you, I
seriously.
want to tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
So everyone has different goals in mind. I
Mhm.
want to buy a car. I want to buy a house.
Mhm.
I want to buy these Gucci shoes, whatever it may be. I went to go eat with Ian and Tamer at this chicken spot.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, Equinox has a hierarchy system, believe it or not. You have tier one, tier two, tier three plus.
Yes.
So
And
the
then
higher
tier
you are,
X.
the higher you are, the
Yeah.
more money you make.
Yeah.
And I was living with him at tier two, and they're
Uh-huh.
tier three plus. So
Plus, yeah.
basically, I'm a rookie, they're a seasoned vet, and I
Yeah.
have just enough budget to pay this rent and buy some things here and there. Like I wasn't buying a coffee every morning before work. That was
Yeah.
out of my budget by far.
Yeah.
So we went to this chicken restaurant next to Chelsea Market, and I
Mhm.
felt like this is how I felt like. I
Yeah.
felt as if I was sitting next to LeBron James and Dwayne Wade because they got all these clients, they're making all this money. We
Yeah.
sit down, and I'm looking at the menu. I can't afford shit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't afford it, man.
Yeah.
And Ian says to the waiter whatever he orders, and I looked at the cost of that. I was like, oh, he just ordered a $40 meal. And then
Yeah.
I look at Tamer. Tamer, when he goes out to eat,
Yeah.
he does not play. This
He's a
man
big boy
eats.
too.
He eats like a royal king because he
Yeah.
knows he works hard for it. So typically when we go out, he'll order two and a half meals. His ticket comes out to be like $60. And for me, I ordered like, I'm not playing, man. I ordered a side of biscuits
Yeah.
and like something else that was $5. So my ticket was about $12.
Yeah.
And at that moment, my goal in New York City was to never look at a menu again when I order something,
Yeah.
meaning the cost of something, the price
Yeah.
of something. And
Yeah.
that was my only goal. So that is why I'm so happy in New York, because when I go out to eat, I'm not rich by any means, but I don't have to worry about that sticker cost next to a fancy hamburger or a fancy steak because I know that I can afford that. So for me, right there is
Yeah.
success in New York. I don't live in a penthouse. I don't have an extremely nice car, or I don't have all these fancy things that maybe other people would judge you on, or the latest and greatest of an expensive Gucci jacket.
Yeah.
But when I go out to eat, I have the best company around me. I don't know
Yeah.
if you have that, but
Always.
I
Yeah.
also I can create this memory and be happy.
Yeah.
So I try to think about those times because every time you meet a goal, you're always chasing something else.
Yeah.
It's it gets bigger and bigger, and you don't get as happier and happier if you keep doing that. So I really try to embrace what I have accomplished. And so that's why for me now, I'm just wanting to do things that makes me happy. So last year, my father passed away in February, and
Oh man.
then COVID hit in March.
Yeah.
I was depressed
Yeah.
because you never think about someone you love passing like that.
Yeah.
But you know, time on earth is so finite.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I need to move back home. I got to be with my mom. But it wasn't fair for me because I wasn't ready to pack up and give up what I've created in New York for my life.
Yeah.
And I was going through relationship issues. Where's my next client gonna come from? Because everyone's just moving.
Yeah.
And so I had to deal with all of that. And for the most of last year, I was pretty unhappy. And I really didn't know myself or my self identity or what I was going to even become. So I started to take therapy. I started to really analyze where my life is going. I started to see how I'm treating the people around me, how I'm treating my girlfriend, how I value my life. And so all of that compiled into stress and hating myself and thinking all these negative thoughts. So, boom, the Mooky show was created to
Yeah.
make me happy, to make me do things that I typically wouldn't do. And I'm just sharing my life.
Yeah.
And I want people to know no matter who hates you or who loves you, keep doing what makes you happy. And I posted a Gary V post, and I know you've seen it
Yeah.
because you commented on it.
I
And it's
did.
basically saying, do the things that you want to do. And the kid was trying to make a vlog or YouTube, and Gary Vee
Yeah.
was supporting that. 150 people watched it. The only person that commented on it was you.
Yeah.
And I felt that appreciation and love because I know that you're creating. I know
Yeah.
that you know what I'm going through as far as editing, like I said before, and just trying to figure out ways and keep this creativity going, the
Yeah.
happiness. And when I'm shooting and I'm editing it, it's you get this euphoric feeling of happiness because you're building something for yourself. And I'm enjoying that process right now. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying those chicken wings I just tried.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying my cameraman follow me because he gets to see that experience and I get to talk about it. I have so much more respect for anyone that does YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, modeling, acting, because
Yeah.
those are the things you're not supposed to be in life. Those are the
Yeah.
things that it's not going to make you quote unquote successful or make you money. But
Yeah.
if all you're doing is ever chasing money,
Yeah.
I don't think that brings you complete happiness, at least
You
for
won't.
me. I can only speak for myself.
No, and it won't. It will not unless you truly love doing what you're doing. And I commented on that, and I know what you're doing, and that's like one of the things that I told you about before recording was that like when I know what it's like to start a show and not have anyone help or anyone really think that it's going to be anything. And it sucks. It really does suck because there's people that you would assume support you or share what you're doing, your work, but it's still kind of taboo to be doing a YouTube channel or a podcast because like I heard today, I was listening to Joe Rogan and there's like 1 million podcasts out there right now. Or no, I saw it was like on something else. But then I also take the Joe Rogan experiences like, you could think whatever you want about Joe Rogan is he, whatever his political, whatever people think about him. I love him, people love him or hate him, whatever. But all he's done for 11 years is just talk to interesting people and he's had fun doing it. He never expected it to be what it's going to be. He never expected or sought after $100 million deal with Spotify. He never expected it to just blow up like it did. All he did was him and Brian Redband and a couple of his other friends. They got together and he would just chat and they would smoke weed and do whatever. And like I said, with you starting your new endeavor with the Mookie show, I said, like, you know what? I know what it's like to start something without anybody promoting it. Like it sucks because I've done almost 30 episodes now, and it's very rare when it's shared. And that's how it is. Like and I'm not forcing people, and like I'll send the guests the links, and so they could put it on their Facebook or their Instagram or whatever, and sometimes they'll just share it in their stories, and a lot of times people just like will scroll right past the stories instead of like their posts or whatever. And I'm not gonna like force people to say, hey, listen to this right now. Like if they want to do it. I got what I needed out of it. I talked to someone that's really cool, and somewhere along the way somebody is going to see it or be inspired by it, and that's when word of mouth starts getting out. You know what I mean? And if I could help you out and get your show out there, and say, watch this is a good human being. And he's like, listen, there's New York experiences. You're going to watch a lot of stuff about eating food in New York. There's a whole channel dedicated to it. There's a building in Chelsea. The Chelsea Market has the Food Network in it. They're in New York. You're going to get a certain view of New York. But how often are you going to get like a real view of New York food, or just a roundup of people from New York that aren't, food connoisseurs? Like, we're not, I don't know. I wouldn't call you like a food expert. You're just a person who loves food. And I
Right,
agree with
right,
you 100%. Like, it's just like, you're enjoying this experience. And I'm not sure if it's always just going to be with you tasting food, but it's just you living your life and experiencing life to its fullest. And that's the Mookie show to me, and it's, you're enjoying it with friends, you're enjoying it with like people, and it's just going to grow. And you got to keep doing it. If it's making you happy, that and your booty exercises, you got to keep doing them. I started doing like thrusters, and like I'm trying to like I have my weights in my garage, and I started doing that stuff because of you. I never even thought about that, you know?
I
And
I really appreciate your support, your kindness, man. And this is what I'm talking about, my wealth through my friends that support
yeah,
me.
man.
Because sometimes I want to delete all of it.
Yeah.
I tell my girlfriend that
No.
all the time because you feel so vulnerable, you feel embarrassed, you feel
Yeah.
ashamed. But then
Yeah.
at the same time, it's the reason why I even started it is because I seen this Korean guy on YouTube
Hmm.
do the same thing, and he's
Hmm.
so chill, he's not over the top. And I wanted to keep the show as authentic as possible. And when I see myself on my channel on the TV for YouTube, I'm proud that I didn't change myself for the camera.
Never. And don't.
And and you know me.
Yeah.
So the one I did with Baker and Tapia, that's authentically me. It's just me. You get to see my life in New York City. So it's not just about food. I want to do my experiences, just walking around the city, showing new buildings and things like that. So I have a lot to edit. I have some content in the works. FYI, I got some Mooky merch on the way, and I'm gonna send
So
you
you're
some
ahead of the
stickers.
game. Please
Yeah,
do.
text.
On my Whataburger Yeti, I have another Yeti. I'll put it there on my workout Yeti that I have.
Yeah, definitely. So text me your address, and
Yes.
you know, I developed all these things just from heartbreak, from depression, from anxiety, from sadness, and I started to plug in things that would make me happy, and
Yeah.
this was that.
Yeah.
So
I think the thing with that Gary V vlog, or that kid talking to Gary V, because Gary V, you can also think about like Gary V is Gary V. He's impulsive, he's very brash, but he's never gonna like hold back. And it's true what he said to that kid is like, do it. You don't know how to edit, learn. You don't need a fancy camera crew. You don't need anything. Like, I'm always, I've said this probably about 2 or 3 times already in this episode about, comparing it to like Joe Rogan's experience, is that if I don't know anything about editing or cameras, like Chewy was my guy. Like if I needed help with that, I would go to Chewy. And I don't know anything about that. So if you look at the videos of the first few episodes of this podcast, they look like crap. I'm shooting it in my daughter's closet, and the quality is awful. And I mean, it's a little bit better now. I actually I have a microphone, and it's like, it's just little baby steps. You get better, but as long as you're doing something that's making you happy and you're getting something out of it, it's just one of those things, is you're going to find that the money will find you eventually. You know what I mean? And if you keep producing that, it's like a ray of sunshine when it's cold. Like I'm in South Texas right now, and in the shade, it's very, very chilly. But if you go a few feet into the sunlight, you're going to feel that warmth. Just think about springtime in New York, you know, when it's like 56 degrees and everyone's like finally feeling spring, but it's still like you're walking in Manhattan and the building is covering you and is blocking that sun. You're in the shadows, it's still cold. But the moment you hit the pier or you're on the West Side Highway and that sun's just beaming on you, you want more of that. And that's you, like that's your attitude, that's everything reflecting off of your videos and how you're having fun, and people are, they gravitate toward that, you know. I mean, look, I'm always very honest about, like, I'm not monetized. I'm not even close to getting monetized. And I'm very, very transparent about how many people download this podcast. I just got my first 1,000 downloads since July. You know, there's podcasts who get 50,000 downloads an episode. You know, Joe Rogan talks about hundreds of millions of downloads an episode. I'm nowhere near there, but as long as I'm having fun, then that's all that matters. Would my wife
If
love
you
for me
never
to get
did this,
monetized? Yeah. I
if
mean,
you
I
never
would love
did
to be
this,
monetized.
you would have never got 1,000 downloads if you never did
No,
this, right?
exactly.
So if you're listening to this and you're on the fence about doing your own makeup show,
Do it.
culinary, fitness, just do it. Let me tell you how much money I've spent into shooting my show. I have an iPhone already.
Boom.
I do all my editing on my computer, and that app costed me $20. I use iMovie. It's
That's it.
nothing fancy. So that's $20 there. My logo cost me $30. So $50. And then a mic recorder just so I'm around the city and I give you better audio quality, another $40.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not like I've put in my life savings for this show that's making me happy.
No.
And so I can share a little bit of food and my time here on New York City. Start out small and it will just, the ball will just get
It'll keep
larger
going.
and larger. And you'll get this momentum. I will say each episode I drop, I feel more confidence coming on because it
And you
does
will.
get better and better and better. And
Yeah.
so that is a good feeling to, I don't want to use the word chase, but I guess I will in this case. But that is a better feeling to chase, to know that I can get better. And that's something that I got addicted to because in training, I always felt like I can get better and better. And even now, I don't feel like I've mastered it because I know that I can always get better and better. So the same thing
Absolutely.
goes for the show, the same thing goes for your podcast, and that right there is what I'm living for, to get better and better and be around amazing human beings like yourself, because that's what
I
makes me
appreciate
happy
that.
inside.
And
Truthfully, man.
yeah, same. Same. And you're gonna get a better quality of life. And I know that there's that argument about the finances, about everything. Well, you're not making any money. I'm like, well, no, not yet. You know, it's just a matter of time, because there are a million podcasts, or how many YouTube channels are there, right? But it's the people who persist, the people who continue doing what they love because they love what they're doing. They're going to continue. Whereas the people who just did it because they think they're going to make a quick buck, or they think they're going to be the next Joe Rogan, or they think they're going to be the next, you know, was it the Logan Pauls, or the next big people on YouTube, the next big YouTuber. But the thing is, like, it's all about content. It's the quality of the content. And if you're just spewing out just a bunch of crap, then that it's going to be short lived, because you're chasing something that's not real. If you're chasing something that's just real to you, then I think it's just going to be a lot better, and you're going to have a lot more longevity in this. And who knows what's going to happen? You don't even know. Like, if you continue doing the Mooky show, and it evolves from like tasting the spiciest Asian noodles and wings and vegan food to, like, sights of New York, or like places you didn't know existed in New York, or like there's all these like fabled places in New York, and you start growing your vlog, like, you don't know if someone, I mean, that's the beauty of Equinox. You don't know which client is going to see that and say, hey, I work for History Channel. I work for Bravo. I work for so and so. And then boom, you're a host for something, or boom, you've got your own show, or boom, you got a sponsorship deal. So you can actually do more. Like, hey, would you like to expand out of New York? Would you like to go to Toronto and try it out? Or would you like to, like you don't know. Or maybe they can open up there's other doors and avenues that open up for you to where it just expands beyond your current friend circle to like maybe you're I don't know taking Jack Black on different eating excursions. Like you don't know where this could go, but as long as you're having fun, that's all that matters. And if it just stays within your circle of friends, then that's even better because those are people you love and you want to share those experiences with,
I
right?
rather I rather be ready for an unexpected opportunity
Mm-hmm.
than to not be ready for an expected opportunity.
Absolutely.
So if that ever comes, great. I would love the opportunity to be a host on any game show or um, diners, drive-ins, food spots, whatever it may be. If that never comes, it's not going to steal away my happiness or my genuine true reason of me even starting all of this. It's been fun. I'm not done, obviously, and I just want to see what else I can explore. This is
Yeah.
is super exciting for me,
Yeah.
and I just want to share that. So go for it. Whatever you're on the fence about, just go for it. Try it. Do it. That's what I'm showing on the show. Baker's never tried, certain Korean noodles. He might have missed out his whole life on that, or
Yeah.
maybe um, candy. Just those small little simple things can bring you so much happiness, and then you might buy that for someone else and share that happiness.
I
So in
also
life, there's so much chain reaction that happens.
I could have saved you so much money on that candy episode too if we're still up there because our cupboards were always stocked with all of that you had there. Always. My wife loves. I mean, she grew up in Mexico. She's Mexican, just
Yeah.
like me. But like her, like once we found that there was spots that sold that candy, dude,
Mhm.
we always had chamoy. We had just different kind of pulparindo, like all different kinds of like lucas, the different types of Mexican candy, man. Like,
Yeah, but imagine someone that's never tried Mexican food or
yeah,
Korean food. They're missing out on so much. So hopefully this show gets you to try things you would have never tried in your life. For instance, I have an episode coming in the near future. Baker's never really ate seafood before. So I want him to try some sushi, some snow
what?
crab, some shrimp. Yeah, he doesn't eat seafood. And for me and you, we love seafood. So I just
Yeah,
want to share that experience, and hopefully he might end up liking it or whatever it may be.
yeah,
But it's so fun to see someone do something for the first time, whether you're 10 years old or 80 years old. There's always going to be
yeah,
something that people have done before you. So why not? Today's the
yeah,
day. Try something new for yourself today, and don't do it because of anyone else. Figure out who you are, love yourself, continue to love other people, and that right there is contagious.
yeah, yeah. Your attitude, your good attitude is contagious, and that's what I've always admired about
Thank
you.
you, man.
No, always like going back to the time that you were training. Like I would have never have known any of the struggle that you were going through, um, because of attitude. You had like such a good attitude about everything, um, and no one would have noticed or known that you were sleeping in a basement and living basically in the gym. No one would have, or and it's just one of those things that it's a good thing that you have that, and I think it's going to take you very far. So, Moo, this has been a beautiful conversation. Thank you for joining me. And I knew there was a reason, aside from plugging your show and everything. I know there was a good reason why I had you here. Um, so, where can we find you on YouTube?
You can find me on YouTube and Instagram. If you want to find me for my show, it's the Mooky Show. So The Mooky is spelled Mooky. If you want to follow me for some training tips, some exercises, or you might even have some general questions, you can follow me at Instagram, JMOOFIT. So J Move Fit. Don't be shy, ask me some questions. I would
Yeah.
love to help you. It's not always about making money. So if there's something that I can do to expedite the process of your diet, your fitness training, whatever it may be, feel free to reach out.
Yeah. And
So
also, like,
I want to
guys
say,
and girls, having a good booty is for everybody. And this guy can help you out. Trust me.
I want to say thank you so much for having me on this show, man. I love to see your beautiful face. Thank you for the uplifting words. I'm inspired. I'm motivated. And I would love to talk to you more frequently, not just on the show. I have your phone number now. And tell your wife I said hello.
Yeah.
I have nothing but love for you.
Absolutely.
And I hope this year is far better than last year. Much love, Jorge.
Same, brother. Yeah, much love to you too. I really appreciate that. And I wish the same for you. And it's going to be a good year. I really and truly feel that this year is going to be much different than last year all around. And there's just some good things, man. There's some really good things on the horizon for us. So hang in there. Everybody out there watching, listening, you can always catch the podcast on Instagram at Jorge's Isolation Podcast. I'm on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. I'm on YouTube. If you want to watch the video version, it's under my channel under Jorge Chapa. Thank you for joining me. Moo, once again, thank you, brother. Love you, man. Thank you for being here.
Te amo, papi.
Te amo, papi. All right, brother. Take care, everybody. Take care. Have a good one.